Staying strong requires you believing in yourself. How to stay strong when others are putting you down. That's today's question. And this is the thing. When you know what your intention is, you are much more likely to be able to remain strong. Well, the story I'm about to tell you is a story which comes straight from the heart. As some of you may know, my mom passed away about a year ago. And in the last few years, because she was of old age, a lot of demons started haunting her. And they were mainly caused because of her declining mental and physical health. So my mom couldn't walk as good as she could before. She needed some support. She wanted to go out, but since she couldn't walk and was prone to falling, she didn't do so. So her world became very small. Dealing with a sort of similar situation, not being able to walk for by the time about 6 years, I knew where to go, who to ask in order to improve my walking. And I also knew about which aids I could use and hence what she could use in order to go outside anyway, despite having problems with her balance and her stability. And here was the thing, she wouldn't have it. She wouldn't have me talking about it at all. She was like, no, I I don't want to do it, you know? And because of it, she became lonelier, lonelier, and lonelier every day. And she was less and less able to take care of herself because, for a lot of things, and people don't realize this, you need your stability. I mean, take a thing like showering, getting dressed. I mean, how do you put on your pants, your underwear for that matter? And I mean, if you're not capable of standing on one foot, that's kind of hard. I mean, even if you sit on a chair, then at some point you need to get up, you know? Um, and that was what she was experiencing. I mean, washing your hair. Well, actually, there are a lot of things we can get nowadays, but there is such a thing as pride. So we are talking about pride, we are talking about acceptance, but we're also talking about whose choice is it. And that was the thing. Since she hadn't accepted what was going on, she didn't accept it when others were telling her, well, maybe you should this, that, and the other. So I did arrange for the GP, the family doctor, to drop by and to see her. I got a physical therapist to come by and see her, which made a little bit of a difference. Of course, there were the people, the caretakers, as in the nurses, who who came to her home. They helped her, with the showering and all that stuff. And then there was the police, who called me, well, probably once a week at least. Hence why I went there like 4 or 5 times a week, not because it was called 4 or 5 times a week, but I wanted to keep an eye on her. And she was often lonely because no one was out there to see her. And here's the thing, every time I tried to help her out, she felt so out of control, so powerless, that she could get really, really upset with me. And she would start yelling, she would start screaming, and it became sort of like a power play. And here's the thing, I've learned in the last couple of decades that it's important to keep my cool, to not go along with when people are trying What she was basically doing, she was trying to get me to become angry, to enrage me. She was trying to provoke me. And I was like, yeah, that's nice, but that's not going to work. So what now? And, you know, I tried a number of methods, which usually work good for me. So they varied from, you know, putting a certain boundary around me, energy wise, that would calm me down. She was angry. I was calmed down. That made her upset. I would walk away. That got her even more upset. I would, at some point, just leave and come back the next day or a couple of days later. That seemed to work best because then it was like, okay, didn't mean it. And of course, she felt even more alone. What I at some point did was I went out, you know, put some distance between the two of us, and I would get her something to eat, something she would like. Usually that would do the trick. I have to add something to it. My mom, she had trouble eating, drinking. She was afraid to go to the restroom, so of course she wouldn't drink that much. And all combined, she basically didn't get the nutrients she needed, and as a result, her strength diminished all the time. So what I actually needed from her was to get some food, which made her feel better, and then she would be uh, the mom I always had known. But she didn't, or at least she did, but usually it was my doing. So if she felt manipulated, that was true. I would know where to find the cake and the medication and how to make her drink, using a straw, splicing the piece of cake into little pieces so she would eat it, feed it to her. And it's not something you want to do, but I guess that's the way it is when people die of old age. If you're in luck, we do not die the way that we were born, and if we're out of luck, we do die the way we were born, like little infants needing help. Only they're not that little, and they still remember everything they've done. And then we get back to pride. And so again, she would get really upset with me, and she tried to get me as angry as possible. She wanted me to be screaming and yelling at her. That's when she had reached her goal, and that's what she actually said. She acknowledged this to me, and of course, I could not have gone, but I wanted her to be able to die at home as she wanted to, and not stay in some facility, some care facility. And so I really tried and did my best to grant her that wish. And in the end, uh, I guess all of us succeeded. She died at home, so that was a good thing. But in between, because I got there the most, I was the one who basically had done it. So today, Brendan Burchard was talking about conflict, and one of the things he said was improve the situation, build a relationship. And he mentioned a couple of things, and I was like, yeah, oh my god, I've tried almost everything I could do, um, and and it was she wouldn't have it because she wanted me upset. And it was just for a moment. It's like that when someone is just as upset as you, then at that moment you may be able to snap out of it. And then I realized, like, because for so long, I really had problems, trouble with coming to terms with those last few years. I mean, it's no fun when your mom basically tells the whole world what a traitor you are. Well, I'm not sure if she used the word traitor, but then again, she might as easily have used it. And all because she felt put down. And all I wanted to do was help. And this is a thing, in certain situations, I can say, you know what? Um, I don't care if you want to do it on your own, just do it on your own. And well, since I was the one closest, living living closest to my mom, I was the one who would go there um, the easiest, and so I did. And so yeah, it was for me. It was not an option to abandon her. So yeah, like I said, I would use the timeout. I would take a timeout for a couple of days every now and then. But in the end, that became harder and harder. And she she didn't remember quite when I had gotten there. And I was also worried about her not eating. So it was a bit like, okay, I need to stay away. That's better for my energy. It's better for my health. But on the other hand, I wanted to be there for her. So in retrospect, when Brendan Burchard was talking about conflict and how to resolve this, I realized, like, yeah, you know, this has helped me. This really has helped me to to figure out each way, to try each way. I would do games like Sudoku games and listen, and that's something, by the way, I've been doing ever since growing up. I would be what they call doodling, so I would be writing on paper, and apparently it's not something everyone does, but there are some people out there, especially those in the autistic spectrum, who do so. And the reason why they do it, or why I did it and still do, is because I'm still listening. Part of my brain is listening, but the emotional part that gets upset is being distracted. And so I came back to being me, and I can listen. And when someone says something important, I will look them in the eye and I will take notice. I might repeat it. So it's not like I'm not listening. I'm just not, I'm just distracting myself just enough to keep myself from getting upset and getting and yelling, basically. I suppose that's it. So with my mom, I would be doing Sudoku, and for some reason, usually drawing is accepted, at least where I came from. We would have all these talks, and I would be doing stuff. It was like when we had visitors, I would be watching TV, I would be doing my homework. At the same time, I would be knitting, making a sweater or something. And it's all on autopilot, and that's what this is about: doing something on autopilot to distract the brain, and meanwhile listening to what other people are saying. What else I did? Of course, I've mentioned this already several times. I would literally put distance between me and her, um, you know, just to get away from the situation, to calm myself a little bit down. Um, that meant not only a physical distance, but it also meant doing something, getting emotion, and that's what's really important. And of course, when you start exercising or walking, whatever it is, your breathing pattern changes, so that's really good. um, we always would talk about it in the end when she felt better. That's why I know the answers. um, but in the meanwhile, I would also talk to myself. So there is um, this, I don't know, it's not like a prayer, but it's like, thank you, I love you, um, I forgive you, and thank you. It's something along those lines. It's like this four sentences which you keep repeating. And basically what it says is, you give me a chance to um, get a better grip on the situation. So you're provoking me, and this gives me a chance to grow. So that's why it's thank you. I love you because you give me that opportunity. Um, and then there comes the forgiving part. So because they're basically helping you, it's like um, you could say like, okay, I forgive you for what you're doing because you're doing it. So I am growing. And again, there's a fourth sentence, and I forgot it. Um, I will get there at some point. I haven't said it a lot of times. I knew what it was about, and I used also different mantras. But for me was the most important was that I remained myself and down to earth. So I focused on my breathing. I did some meditation. I literally did an exercise, becoming aware of my entire body and not be like up here, but focused entirely, what they call grounded. And they usually would do the trick. And of course, I talked to not just myself, but also to other people about it. Like, okay, this has happened, and trying to calm myself down and um, not be mad at her because this was something which was the result of mindset. Growing up, she was fearful. A lot of things reminded her of when she was in a position um, when her mom needed to go to a care facility, and my dad actually made a decision. Um, and it wasn't that she didn't want to. It's just the way it all went down back in those days and what was happening right now. She was afraid that I wouldn't listen to what she needed and what she wanted, and that I would just decide for her. And for the record, she really didn't want to go to any different facilities because she didn't like strangers. She didn't like people she didn't know. Because my mom was always worried about everything and everyone. So any stranger, she didn't trust. That's the way it was. And that's probably why she was so angry with me. So when Brandon said this and he was talking about it, I was starting to yawn and all that stuff. And I was like, what? And then I realized this was me letting go of negative energy. So usually when there's all these thoughts going on and like stress and you start to relax, that's when the yawning starts. And that's when I knew, okay, this is good, what happened. So the reason why I made this quote card and came up with this line wasn't actually because of what he said today. It actually had to do with something which happened to Joe earlier this week. Unfortunately, Joe isn't here, as you may have noticed. It's becoming closer and closer to her husband dying, and she's really having a really hard time with it. Um, so all I can do is wish her all the best at this moment, and I understand that this is not the moment that she wants to be um, going on live. Also, there was a very important event today, which already has taken place, so that could get in the way. But it's mostly her not being too happy with, well, actually, just being sad and mourning about the grief related to her husband. And of course, she's still grieving about her mom. But you know, these times right now, they bring it all back, all the memories and what's going on. So what happened recently was that she's got this fan page. In case you haven't noticed, she's a huge fan of Jason Bigay, who plays sergeants in Chicago PD, and she has this fan page. And every once in a while, when she's not able to post anything, I help her out, and that's why you can see some posts about Jason on my Instagram page as well. And so she's got over 7,000 followers, which is huge. And in her bio, she actually says, "This is a fan page. I'm not Jason the Gay. I just, um, well, I'm not going to say she loves and adores the guy because that's not what it says. But it's basically like a sort of tribute to someone who, of course, is alive. And basically honoring the guy and letting us fans of Jason share in all the stuff that's out there, the interviews, pictures, all that stuff. And I have to admit, the guy has a talent to make someone smile, and not as necessarily as his role in Chicago PD, but in real life, um, he does. And I have to say, he's quite an inspiration for me too. He got me my one word, inclusion. And when it comes to perspectives, he is the one who always shows things from two sides. And I guess when we want to understand what people are doing, it's so important to be able to see things from various sides. That's the only way we get to understand why people do the things they do. So, getting back to what happened to her, there are a lot of scam artists out there who pretend to be Jason the Gay, and they they try to lure certain fans into paying like VIP, um, well, basically seeing them, so VIP parties. It depends on the way you want to see it. And of course, knowing that he has no social media, she warns people about the scam artist. And scam artists don't want that because they can make like thousands of euros per person just doing this. And it's quite funny because I've mentioned him once or twice, well, maybe a little bit more often on my Instagram page, especially when doing stuff for her as well. They know to find me too. And I can have an invitation from 5 different Jason Gays at one day. And of course, that makes no sense. And well, I know the warning signs. So, but anyway, what did they do? They warned other people not to be or to be on the lookout for scam artists. That's what they did. And then they mentioned her page. So here's the thing, I don't know if this was a scam artist pretending to be him because very conveniently I couldn't see that account, or if this was a person who used it as a fan account, although I don't believe it was because in the description, the pictures I was sent, it didn't say in the description it was. Um, Putting her down as in she is a scam artist. And this is the thing, people don't read, people don't watch. And so all they see is, oh, this is a scam, this is a fraud. And then, well, they post it anywhere else, and then they post it somewhere else, and then that one post. People don't listen. People don't think anymore for themselves. They just, it's like, oh, there's something, and let's be honest, when you have nothing to do, when your life is boring, or you're always in a rush, but you feel like you're doing the right thing, you don't read. You just don't. And especially when you don't have anything else to do, well, gossiping is a good thing to do. But there are also people who actually don't, they just skip the important part. So she started losing followers and then they went back up again. And that was sad. And, the most hurtful thing was that she uses this page to get over the death of her husband. And Jason McGay and her husband are intertwined because it was because her husband wanted to see a movie with her, which was starring Jason McGay, that they started going out, and that's when she realized that same day or that same night that she was going to marry her, which in the end she did. And he was a good guy. He was a very good guy. But alas, he died due to COVID. And so, in order to heal herself, she started doing all these posts about Jason. And then later on, she started to adding text messages, which basically told us readers how she was doing. So this was helping her heal. When she couldn't sleep, she would make a post, and just for the fun of it, she would make a post. And then there was someone, boom, taking it away. So this is what Brendan said. He said, well, if something like this happens, there are three things you need to do: breathe, move, and talk. And of course, I already told you how I used those three things when it came to my mom. But actually, when I was on the phone with her, um, we did something similar. So when talking about it, I realized that it had to be sheer jealousy because she had so many followers and that someone wasn't having it. Or it was because they were scam artists and she would be warning them. So we came up with this sort of mantra, sort of chant. They call it skidding, if I am correct, um, which is, this is not about me. And then she added, it's pure jealousy, and with the emphasis on C. So it's not about me, it's pure jealousy. So when she started saying it's not about me, I started like, it's not about me, it's pure jealousy. It's not about me, it's pure jealousy. It's not about me, oh, it's not about me, it's pure jealousy. It's not about me, it's pure jealousy. Well, you see what's happening. I put a rhythm underneath it, and then she started literally singing all that stuff. Breathe, move, talk. So it's self-talk, the words, breathing, because she was starting to sing and move around, and literally moving. And that's what keeps our mind off what's going on. And of course, I can't do that with everyone, but I usually try to help people by giving them something to focus on. And sometimes it can be drawing, writing down stories, but changing um, our conscious mind to do something which is fun or boring or whatever it is, anything but using the chatterbox, worrying, going in the same circle time and time again. That's basically what we need. So I wrote three things down about what is so important. And the first thing has to do, it's so important to understand why people do the things they do. And I believe that to a degree she was able to understand it. But here's the thing: when people are really, really emotional, we can say it, but it doesn't land, they don't understand it. It's like their ears are closed. It's They hear you, but it doesn't sink in. And especially when it's really, really emotional and they just don't want to believe it, it just goes like it doesn't even enter the brain. And that's one of the hard parts of being what it is. I call myself a coach, but I'm a trainer, I'm a therapist, I'm a coach, I'm a counselor. Just you give it a label and I'm it. Um, I can see what's going on. I can see it from a mile away. If I talk to the person, then literally click, 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 all the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. And I know what it's about. And I have to say, usually I'm right. I, I probably will be wrong too, but it doesn't happen that often. It's usually I'm right, and I get that back from people too. And what I've come to learn is a lot of times people do things simply because they can. It's a motto we've heard everywhere just about now. It's because I can. Why do people do things? Because they can. They don't. Um, there is no punishment for them. They People don't dare to get angry because they're too frightened of the person. And sometimes they do it in such a sneaky way that people don't realize they're doing it. But usually it's because people don't like to confront them, or they don't dare to confront them, or they're simply not aware that someone is doing it. And as a result, they just keep on going until someone says stop. And that's where I'm looking at you. So if you're listening to this, you probably are either the person experiencing this, or you are the person who knows someone who's experiencing this. You want to help them, but you don't know how. Um, and this is the thing, when we know, we, the ones who are at a safe distance, know what's going on, as in we are not emotionally evolved, or at least not as much as the other person is, we can get frustrated because we are not listened to, we are not heard. And, it might be that even that person who's being heard is yelling at us. And it's not even meant at us. When my mother was yelling at me, she would actually sometimes mistake me for someone else. And or she would simply say, "You remind me of." And there were a lot of people that put her down in her life. And well, so there was a lot of people for her. You, she, she didn't like, at least for some of the things they had done. So understanding, even if it's just to a degree, that makes all the difference. That doesn't really mean that you can accept it, but at least you can get some form of closure, because you understand that it might not even be related to you. And in due time, when you speak about it with other people, you there will be a point where you probably can get some closure. Um, but it's hard to accept that people, especially when you're a good person yourself, might be out to get you. It just doesn't enter the brain. It doesn't come up in our minds, unless, of course, you've seen what's going on in the world and you've talked to people about it, and then, yeah, at some point it's okay. Yeah, not everybody takes others into consideration. So then the next thing, and this is a really important one, which has to do with being focused on what you love doing. So I already told you, with Joe, it's posting. It helps her heal. It takes her mind off things, and she's getting good at what she does when it comes to the editing. And it's fun. And we are actually with a bunch of people out there who all do these posts, and it all makes us smile. And it's a good way. I basically, when I look at all the different fan accounts, I see that everybody is trying to write down some sort of line, something which says something about them, but also about why they posted this picture, and basically expressing themselves. And it's heartwarming to read it. I can't say anything else. Yeah, I'm almost inclined to say it's a very tight community, but then again, we do know that it's not true because there are still people um, attacking one another, feeling attacked by other people, and responding as such by attacking back. And it's that's basically what this is about. This is about not attacking back, but staying true to yourself and staying within your power. Because every time you focus on someone else, whether it's because you're angry or for some other reason, you give away your energy, you give away your power. And of course, that's what they're after. And when you give away your power to someone, that other person feels stronger. Like, hey, look at that. Oh, that person is miserable. And if that's what they set out to do, well, that's what they've achieved. So, and we don't want that. So forgiveness is actually not about forgiving the other, it's about forgiving yourself. And it's not so much the word forgiveness, it's about letting go of the bond there is, that line that keeps the anger and resentment going, you know, to backwards and forwards, to and through. I wanted to say to and from. Um, then is the third thing you can do, which is basically breathe, move, and talk. And that's what we talked about. And, you know, also when people are experiencing like panic attacks or stuff, or they can't get things out of their mind, uh, go up and down the stairs, go walk outside, uh, take in some fresh air. It's those little things. Um, go shake your shoulders, just like you're doing the salsa. Make silly faces, whatever it is. And likely it will make you smile. And that's a good thing when it makes you smile, because then your conscious mind is no longer focused on all the pain and the hatred and the frustration, but instead it's like, oh, yeah, I can laugh about this. So, this is for me, relatively short life, but with a very important message. How do you stay strong when others are putting you down? Well, basically, by staying true to yourself, by not giving in, by focusing on your own body. What happens? Do you experience a pressure cooker? Do you want to lash out? Or are you going to say, it's costing me all my energy when I do, so let's not. Let's keep doing what I want to do. And maybe that's the most important message of all. Don't get discouraged because of what other people are saying. So don't try and numb yourself. Don't start drinking. Don't start doing drugs. Don't lock yourself in a black room, not doing anything anymore. I can understand when you feel sorry for yourself, but feeling the victim isn't going to help you either. So, of course, you're allowed to feel sorry for yourself, but only for a limited amount of time. Because if you do all the time, then, you'll just go downwards when it comes to your energy. So, basically, the message is stay true to yourself. Be who you are, know your convictions, know your intentions. And that's maybe the most important thing. Know your intention and stay strong when people are trying to get you to get upset, when they are trying to get you to do things you don't want to do, to get you to stop doing things you love. So when they try you, don't let them win. Don't let them get away with feeling the powerful one. But especially regardless of how powerful they feel, Don't let them get away with you destroying yourself, because that's who they are attacking, you. Because they make you doubt yourself, they make you question yourself. If you are true to yourself, and you're honest with the things you do, and you know what it is about, what you're doing, and you can say, I've always been open and honest about who I am and what it is I'm doing, you have nothing to worry about. And people will start defending you. And then at some point, that will be known out there too. So if you're one out there, someone who is experienced people putting you down, or someone who's been put down, and just listen to this video, watch it again and again and again, and remember to either come up with a mantra which works for you, or surround yourself with little pictures or quote cards that help you out. But whatever you do, don't stop doing what is giving you energy and focus, direction, purpose, because that is what's going to help you pull through. Well, if you say, well, Lexi, that's all fine, but I have no clue how to even speak up and speak out, so I remain silent. I've got a free course for you, so I'll put the link below in the description. But be sure to, express yourself. That's one of the most important things. Express yourself, whether it's through mantra, writing things down, drawing, whatever it is. And, get rid of that energy. Go outside, take that walk, write a letter you're never going to send. It doesn't matter what you do, but get it out of your system, and then get back to what you know is good for you, what you love doing, what you deem necessary, whatever gives you energy. I know you can do it. And if you ever want to talk about this, then go find me on Instagram or on Facebook or wherever, or just leave a comment, and I'll be happy to reach out to you.